Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're going to have some fun today. Today we're doing the conspiracy tier list. So we're going to go through and we're going to rate what conspiracies are the best, which ones are the worst. And we're going to see what we can come up with here. Now, I haven't been able to include every single conspiracy in the whole world. There's a lot of them. And as I was trying to list them out, I realized, they're all kind of intertwined and they all go with each other and stuff. But we're going to just go through a few, and, I got a good amount here, and let's just dive right into it, okay? So you can see on the left-hand side here, we have our tiers. We have our S tier, the highest, A++, pretty good, pretty damn good, next to the highest. Early out, that means you get to get out of class early and go home. Respect just means, respect. You did a good job on that one. Under that, nice try, pal. It means you're not fooling me. And then we have our LOL dungeon. That's when you've been naughty. You've been a bad boy. You got to go into the dungeon. And then at the bottom of our classification tier here, we have eternal damnation. And you don't want to be down there. So let's just jump into it. First and foremost, what should we do here? Let's start off with something fun. All right, let's do Kobe. So Kobe, come here, Kobe. So they killed Kobe to kick off the coronavirus ritual, right? Killing Kobe was one of those things. I'm just going to put him right here, right now in the early out category. The death of Kobe was kind of like a 9/11 type event, or like the JFK assassination. Everybody knows where they were at when they killed Kobe. Unexpected way to kick off the ritual. It was clever. I'll give you respect for that. We're going to throw the killing Kobe in the respect category, okay? Now, not to be confused with this guy. Let's go with, let's get John F. Kennedy up there. Now, when they shot Kennedy, that was elite level assassination right there. Classic conspiracy, about as good as it gets. When it comes to conspiracies, people are still talking about it to this day, still writing books about it, making videos. Solid conspiracy. You have the classic Patsy scenario. Really, it's the blueprint for a political conspiracy here. So we're going to put that in the S category. That's really some top-notch shit. Let's get into something a little more obscure here. Let's do television, okay? Now, television has been crucial in molding the masses and really getting everyone brainwashed and on the same level. It's a great mind control device. So, shout out to Farnsworth for inventing this. The guy was really onto something. The flickering can kind of put you into a trance-like state. You're very suggestive. It's a great tool for the conspiracy, and yeah, we're going to put that into the early out category. I don't think it's on par with the JFK assassination, but it's better than killing Kobe. So we're going to let it get out of class early, go home, have a snack, and just really celebrate what they've done. Next we're going to go... Let's see, what should we talk about next? How about let's get this guy up into the party here. This is a terrorist, and he can be from any number of terror networks. Maybe he's in the Taliban, maybe he's in Al-Qaeda, maybe he's in ISIS. Maybe he switches between all of those. Maybe he's Mossad, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is he has an AK-47. He's really down for his cause to the point of murdering innocent people, which is respectable, so we'll throw him next to Kobe for that aspect. Now, the thing with terrorism that could be better is I think a lot of these guys are getting tricked. You have some CIA guy roll in there, he's training you, and you think, oh, cool, this guy's just here to give me a bunch of money and weapons and help me murder innocent people. Like, that guy's cool. We're down with him, we trust him. But then you kind of peel back the onion a little bit and you realize that, oh, geez, this guy has his own agenda, just like everybody else. I can't even trust him anymore. So, when you're getting hoodwinked like that, you kind of lose a little bit of respect for for a terrorist, but it's the effort and the thought that counts. So, you know, I'll give you some respect, terrorists, because I know it's not an easy job and somebody's got to do it and you're trying your best and, you know, it's not always easy. Piggybacking on that, let's do some 9/11 because this is a classic conspiracy.
The classic.
I'm just going to put it in the nice try pal category for a second. But you know, it's obviously going to rank higher than that. Now, when it comes to 9/11, it's really the most banger conspiracy that we've had in the past 50 years, like by far. 3,000 people killed immediately. You got like 1 million after that with the wars and stuff that they started with that as a justification. So it's pretty good in terms of numbers. Oh, even the method of destruction is something that causes controversy, which I like in my conspiracies. I don't always want it to be so cut and dry. There has to be layers like an onion, like what we were talking about with the terrorists. And there's a connection between terrorism and 9/11. But was it really this guy that did 9/11? I don't know. I feel like it's more this guy that killed Kobe that did 9/11. But the fact of the matter is, we don't really know. There's a lot of trails we can trace back. There's breadcrumbs. It's a fun one, and I think it's been overlooked recently as kind of a god tier conspiracy. We're gonna throw him up there with the JFK assassination. I particularly ascribe to the theory that it was blown up with a directed energy weapon, maybe some weaponized free energy. That's fun. And it's awesome how they were able to do this, you know, throw in the Patriot Act, start a war in Iraq, then invade Afghanistan. Wait, no, they went Afghanistan, then Iraq. Either way, they had a list of like, you know, 10 or 20 countries that they wanted to invade, and they just been checking off that list, and they've been making a lot of progress with it, so it's a respectable conspiracy. Actually, probably one of the best ones ever. We're going to throw up there in the S tier with the JFK assassination. Now, going off of that, now, none of this stuff would have been possible if there wasn't a great science of the human mind and just figuring out how the brain works and how to control people and how to see, you know, what you can get them to believe and not believe. And that's where MK Ultra comes in, represented by this dude from the Clockwork Orange who really got fucked with by that type of programming. Now, MK Ultra's been good. It's been effective. You know, the lid kind of got blown off of it for a second there. They had some trials and stuff and some hearings where they were trying to expose it, and they acted like they got rid of it, but it's still there. So, you know, I'm not going to put it in the nice try-pal category for that. I'm going to give it an early out, and I'm going to let it go home and have a snack and, you know, watch some cartoons and just kind of be proud of itself for doing a lot of good work for the agenda, because I think that's great for them. MK Ultra is still in full effect, and it's using TV. That's why I put it here in the early out category next to television, because it's crucial. It's crucial. It's all works in tandem with one another, and without your MK Ultras and your televisions, you wouldn't have your JFKs and your 9/11s. So, you know, it might not be as glamorous as some of these other events, but it's essential, and you got to be like, okay, this guy's doing his job. Let him go home and have a snack, okay? Now let's get into something a little more contemporary, something that we've dealt with recently. Let's throw Jeff up here. Now, Jeffy was doing a lot of good work for a while. He was having good parties and stuff. He has a really sketchy come up. You know, is he Israeli Mossad? Is he some other intelligence agency? We don't know. And I like that in my conspiracies because it gives you that trail of breadcrumbs. You know, it really opens up a lot of opportunities to go whichever way. And I like that about Jeff. Now, where Jeff fucked up, though, he wasn't adapting with the times. He was doing a lot of in-person honey trap type of stuff. He had to fly people out to his island. It was really labor-intensive, and it cost a lot of money. So he was really depleting the resources of the octopus here, of the control network. But for the time that he was doing it, him and Ghislaine, I mean, they did a lot of good work, right? They got a lot of dirt on a lot of people. It's just he wasn't able to adapt with the times, and he kind of got thrown under the bus. But I'll give him a nice try. You know, nice try, pal. You did some good work. You had some fun. That's all you can ask for. Sometimes you gotta just hang it up after that. You know, you might get suicided, but that's just the way it goes, okay? Let's see. What can we talk about next? Let's just do... Okay, so... Let's go right here. Let's talk about Israel for a second. Now, Israel's going to hang out next to Jeff for a while because I think these two are pretty familiar with each other, and I think they work in tandem with one another, which is fine. You got to hang out with someone, you know, you got to find your tribe, and your vibe will attract your tribe. I truly believe that. Israel has been quite controversial of recent times, you know, the past year or two. They killed a lot of people, which is good. We like that. We like that for the agenda. You know, ultimately that's what it's all about. You want to kill, like, I don't know, 95% of the population at least. Still got to have a few people left to, like, do the work, grow the food, rake the leaves, stuff like that. And Israel gets that, and they're really good with, like, you know, taking everyone's money and stuff. It's just they've gone a little too hard recently with the whole Palestine thing. They're kind of giving everyone a bad look. And I think they need a timeout, okay? So I'm going to put them in the dungeon. It's not for lack of effort. I think they're trying really hard. But it's sometimes you do a little too much, Israel. It's like, just be a little more low-key, okay? We don't need you doing everything all the time. Okay, now that Israel's in the dungeon, let's find something else to talk about. Okay, let's take it back a little bit. Let's talk about these pyramids, okay? Excellent feats of architecture. Now, the cool thing about the pyramids that they've done to conspiratorialize it is, you know, we act like they were built with hand tools, you know, shovels and picks and, like, I don't know, a mule or a camel or something. I don't know. The most massive structures mankind ever created, and we're going to act like electricity wasn't involved, that these were primitive civilizations. I'll give you some respect for that because that's a pretty outrageous thing to get people to believe, and a majority of people are still believing that. So I'll put you in the respect category with that, right next to the terrorists. Yeah, you know, and a lot of terrorists kind of come from this region too, so that makes sense. I don't know why Kobe's there, but sorry, buddy, that's just where you're gonna end up. Let's do some more history now. Let's talk about this gentleman right here, Mr. Adolf. Now, this guy accomplished a lot in his time, and he's been crucial for the conspiracy, for the whole network. He's done a lot of good work. We still bring him up every day. You know, we're comparing Trump to him and the current administration. A lot of what Israel gets to do is because of this guy, so they're kind of like two peas in a pod there, but I'm going to leave Israel in the dungeon just because they've been naughty lately. As far as Adolf goes, he really went hard, and there's even some people that think he was against the conspiracy. I don't know if I really ascribe to that notion. I think he was a great tool, and I think they're still using him, and he's been super effective, so I'm going to throw him up here. He's not quite on the level of a 9/11 or a JFK assassination, even though World War II did kill like 40 million people. But it's just like, you know, you were only active for a few years. Anyway, it's my list. I'm putting him in the A++. He still did great work, but I don't think he's on the level of a 9/11, just probably due to the time he was operating. Okay, let's get into a little bit more contemporary thing. Now, check out this lady. She's porn. This is our pornography actress. And, you know, she's doing her job, all right? Like, let's admit it. There's a lot of skin showing these days. We're a little bit down in the dumps as far as our standards and things like that. And it's due to this girl. So she's doing her job. It's not very classy. It's not very well thought out. It's a little vulgar. So we're going to put him down here with Israel because, you know, they're kind of two peas in a pod down there. Now, with that being said, let's look at these guys here. This is Hollywood. Let's just throw him down here where he's going to feel at home with the Jews and the porn people. So Hollywood's been doing its thing for a while. The thing is, the reason why I can't rate it higher right now is it's just, he's kind of fallen off. He's fallen by the wayside with things like social media and YouTube and things like that. It's like people are doing their own thing. They're not really as interested in Hollywood. The Grammys are going down the tubes, the Academy Awards. No one's watching this stuff. Even the Super Bowl and things like that. It's kind of lost its attraction. And it doesn't really have that magic that it once had, that the Hollywood once gave us through that wizard wand. So it's kind of lost a little bit of prestige. I think it really needs to make a comeback and just come up with some more original type of content in order to keep up with the times. So we're going to put it in the dungeon as a little bit of a punishment, just because I think it needs to work on itself a little bit. And in order to really thrive in this industry, it comes from within. You can't just give it to you. You got to do the work, and then you're going to reap the benefits, okay? Now, someone that's been doing that for a while is this guy. You know, this is a scientist. Now, scientists have been crushing it lately. They really thrived during COVID. Everyone was listening to them. We wanted to hear what they had to say. We were putting masks on our face. We were standing 6 feet apart. This is because of this guy, okay? We need this guy. He's crucial right now, especially when we're losing a little bit of that spirituality aspect of ourselves. That's where the scientist comes in, okay? Who do we listen to? We listen to the scientist. Trust the science, okay? So we're going to put him up there next to Hitler because I think that the scientific, materialistic type of worldview is essential for furthering the cause right now. And we just see a lot of scientists doing some good work. And what's cool about scientists and what they can help us accomplish is they don't really have any like moral type of standing. They kind of just do whatever, and it's like, I don't know, I'm just doing science, dude. Like, you know, who's gonna tell me not to? So we're gonna throw him up there next to Hitler because I think he's got a lot of good work to do. The thing with science, why he can't be in the S tier, is because, you know, science isn't, it's like it's not a one-time thing. It's a continuous process, and there's an ebb and a flow to it. Sometimes it's up here, but sometimes it's down here. So if you can maintain that consistency and that trajectory, I think you can one day make it into the S tier, which is what you should be striving for right now. Let's get in here. Let's get into politics, okay? So I cut their faces up, but you can see we got Donald and we got Joey. And, you know, what's there to say about politics? I think people are getting really sick of it. It's been a little divisive lately, which is what you want, but frankly, I'm just kind of sick of it, so I'm going to throw you down here in the eternal damnation tier. Just because you guys have been a little naughty. You're kind of overplaying your hand also, and it's boring. You know, I could put you here because I think you'd feel really at home in this category with the porn and the Israelis and the Hollywood, but it's like, I don't think you deserve that. You've been living high on the hog for long enough, and it's time to just kind of take a little bit of a time out here. Okay, moving on. Let's kind of go into some classic big ones. Like, we're going to put this Illuminati photo right here next to the pyramids just for a second. Now, this is just a classic one, okay? Illuminati is really a great entrance. It's like Conspiracy 101. You got to learn about it. You got to figure out where it all started. And to think it all started with Adam Weishaupt in, you know, the 1700s, I think that's a misconstrual. Is that a word? I think it's wrong. I think it goes back way back to these times of these pyramids. You know, these guys have been doing it for a long time. I'm going to throw him up here in the S tier because I think he's behind all this stuff, right? He's kind of the overarching thing. In fact, I'm going to put him at the head of the S tier, in front of JFK and the Twin Towers. Just because he's been crushing it, and it's, you know, they're still valid today. They're still relevant. We still talk about them. It's pretty awesome. Okay, moving right along, we're going to switch things up a little bit. Now, this is the 9-to-5 job. represented by Office Space. Been super effective for the last 100 years or so. We really were able to use industrialization, get people off of the farm into the cities, makes them a lot more easy to control. So that's been super effective. The thing is, people have been working from home lately. Millennials kind of seeing through the 9-to-5 grind because they're not really reaping the benefits that the boomers got and the people before them, where you could buy a house on a $10,000 salary and the wife could stay home. You send the kids to college. It's just you got a lot more out of the 9-to-5 for a while. And we're not really seeing those benefits now. You really got to be a machine. You know, you got to be like Kobe in order to thrive in the 9-to-5 industry. But I'm going to put him down here in the nice try, pal, okay? Because just like with Jeff over here, the 9-to-5 industry isn't what it once was. It kind of lost its mystique, and I don't think it's as effective as it once was. Not for lack of trying. Let's talk about the Terminator right here, and he represents transhumanism, technocracy, nanotechnology. Terminator's been... The technocracy's doing a good job, right? I'm tempted to even put him up here in the A+ category, but I don't think they've been around long enough to really prove themselves. I think that they're really going for it. I think they're spraying a lot of nanobots in the sky, probably putting it in the food, maybe even the shampoo, maybe the dental anesthetics. You know, you got people out there pushing it like Elon Musk and stuff, and he's doing okay. You know, I think he just still has a lot to prove here, this Terminator. So I'm going to let him go home early because he's been doing good work, but he still has some stuff to prove. So it's like, just keep it up, keep up that trajectory, and we'll see where it ends you up. Maybe one day you'll be in the A+ category, and then later when you really have some things to show for yourself, you can earn the S tier. But until then, you got to hang out with the MK Ultra and the television. Let's talk about this. This is prescription medicine. This could just be Western medicine in general, and just the current trends that you're seeing with doctors and pharmaceutical companies and things like that. You had the whole COVID event. These guys are really crushing it. They're bringing in a lot of money, which is cool. They're killing a lot of people, which is good. We want to keep that up. We want to, you know, reduce the population. This is a big goal. So they're doing good. You know, I'll put them up there in the A+ category because this is kind of a sleeper aspect to the whole agenda here. And just like scientists, they kind of go hand in hand, and Hitler, you know, they're kind of, it's all the same thing. So we're going to throw him up there. Let's get this guy in here. This is a crackhead. Crack was really big for a while. I don't think it's as big as it once was. You have fentanyl. We're going to do these at the same time, actually. Fentanyl's really kind of taken over where crack let off. I think crack was a nice try, okay? Like, it did its part. It destroyed the black community, and it's kind of doing what fentanyl's doing now. I don't know. It was the whole, I'm not an expert on crack. I haven't done much crack. But I could see where it was good in the moment. It's just we've kind of upgraded now to fentanyl. Like, crack, you're out there, you're a little productive even. You're stealing, you're you know, you're selling the stuff that you steal to other people so you can buy your crack. So in a way, it helps the economy, kind of. So you're actually somewhat of an asset to the community. But when you get to fentanyl here, wow, that really just destroys a community. Tons of deaths, lots of overdoses, and your average fentanyl addict is a real piece of shit. So we got to respect that. That's been great for the agenda. Okay, let's get into something a little more fun, something a little more out there. How about aliens? Area 51, you know, Roswell. There's a lot to go off of with the aliens here. I think it deserves to be up here, maybe. You know, it's not quite on the level of TV or mind control, but I think I'll put it in front of transhumanism just because it's been around for a while. But I think it kind of links together with all this stuff. And who doesn't love a good alien story? So we're going to let it go home early, have a snack. Okay, let's talk about this guy here. This is God. Now, God, whether it's the God of Christianity or Islam or Judaism or whatever other religion, there's a few of them. Man, he's been doing a good job, okay? Just the notion of God and eternal damnation and, the shit that God can get you to do, he can really make you go hard. And that could be for good or for evil. So I think God is an S-tier conspiracy. And not saying that God's not even real. He probably is. But I'm just saying the way that they can manipulate the idea of God has been incredibly useful. So that's been pretty cool for them. Let's talk about chemtrails. A personal favorite of mine. This is what really launched my career. I'm making thousands of pennies a year off of this, $10 maybe off of these chemtrails. So it's been fun. I think it's, it's doing all right. It's a little annoying, and it's kind of like, okay, we're kind of getting sick of it. It's like, all right, what's this for? The cool thing about the chemtrails, though, as far as conspiracies go, is we're still not admitting to it, right? Like, there's a lot of literature out there. There's a lot of scientific papers talking about nanotechnology, weather modification, things like that, but it's still not quite mainstream. It's like, you got people on Joe Rogan talking about Jeffrey Epstein, right? Like, but there's no one talking about the chemtrail thing. I think one time he had an Air Force guy on there, but he just said it wasn't true or whatever, because, like, it's still happening. It's a big deal. So we're going to put it in the A+ category. I don't think it's quite on the level of 9/11 just because the aftermath and the death isn't quite as immediate and satisfying. But it's kind of a slow kill method, which is, it gets the job done, right? All right, check this out. Slavery. Now, I don't know if slavery was really a conspiracy. It was more of like an economic model, but it's had a lot of blowback in recent years. It's not what it once was. They've kind of changed slavery into the 9-to-5, so it's like, all right, nice try with the slavery. But it's like, people are still mad about it. It's still, no one's going to ever get over it. So I think we really need to punish slavery for a while and just kind of put it down there with politics. Because it's like, okay, you had your time, you overplayed your hand, you were doing it for thousands of years, and it's just, we've had enough of it, and there's better ways to do it now with the 9-to-5, with the fentanyl, the transhumanism, like, there's just better ways. So you're just going to have to sit down there for a while. All right, getting into other terror attacks, like we have the Oklahoma City bombing here. Now, that was a big deal when it happened, a little bit before my time, but I have visited this site, also visited the 9/11 site. Say the 9/11 one's a lot more impressive, but what they accomplished with Oklahoma City was it really set the stage for your 9/11s. You had to have a precursor. You had to have a warm-up. You don't just go into the gym and start bench pressing 350 pounds. You warm up. You level your way up into that. And that's kind of what Oklahoma City did. I think, it's not really talked about as much anymore. I'm not going to throw it in the dungeon, but I'll give it a nice try. Okay, now let's get into something a little different. We have here, I can't believe it's not butter. Now, the thing is with this, I can believe it's not butter because it doesn't taste very good. Butter is delicious. It's great for cooking. It's actually pretty good for you from what I understand in contrast to popular belief. So I'm going to put I can't believe it's not butter in the dungeon just because I can believe it's not butter. And you're really insinuating that I can't believe it, but I can. Another fun one here, we have the mud flood. The thing with the mud flood, it's got a lot of holes in the story too, right? Like if there was this big civilization that got mud flooded and there was all this antiquitech and free energy and crazy shit like that, which maybe there was, I just don't see it lining up with literature, right? Because there's been all of these literary figures. You have your Dostoevsky's, your Mark Twain's, you have your Henry David Thoreau's. I don't know. You got like these people that were actually there in that time, and they've written an incredible body of work that's all unique to their voice. So it kind of makes me question the whole Tartaria mud flood thing. Like, okay, but did they actually like make up all these stuff, like all these great authors? Like as a creative myself, I don't see it being that easy to accomplish all that. I'll put you in the nice try, pal category right here next to I don't know, the 9-to-5. Just because I think there's a lot of holes in that story. I still find it entertaining and interesting. I'm not going to go all in on that one, okay? And that brings us to the moon landing. Now, the moon landing, when the moon landing dropped, it was hot. Like, it was a big deal. It's kind of fallen off in recent years, and it doesn't really have the same amount of interest that it once did. You know, when the moon landing dropped, people were all about it. They're like, holy shit, dude, Richard Nixon is talking to the fucking astronauts on a landline on the moon? Like, this is weird, but we're going to go with it. It's just now there's a lot of criticism of the moon landing. Like, not everyone's buying it. And in my conspiracies, I like for it to be consistent. I like for people to go along with it forever. The thing the moon landing has working against it is it's just getting a little dated right now. So I'm going to put it in the dungeon just because, you know, we'll put it by Hollywood. Like, did Stanley Kubrick fake this? Like, was Israel involved? Were they making porn on the moon? I don't know. But that's where it's going to go. All right, let's talk about the Holocaust for a second. Holocaust, a lot like the moon landing, was pretty big when it dropped. It actually seemed to have peaked couple decades after. You had a lot of movies, and you know, you had the creation of Israel kind of linked up to that. It's just kind of like the moon landing now. You have a lot of questions being asked about the Holocaust, a lot of you know, mathematical inconsistencies and things like that. It doesn't have the prestige that it once did. And I think they've overplayed their hand with the Holocaust. It's like, yeah, dude, it was working for a second, but you went a little too far with it. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, all right? So I think the Holocaust deserves to go into the dungeon. No offense to people that were in it and stuff. I know it sucked. It's just like, okay, we know about it. It happened. That's just the way it goes. Sticking with this era, let's talk about Pearl Harbor for a second. Now, Pearl Harbor was a great catalyst to get the United States involved in World War II. There's a lot of evidence that, what was it, Eisenhower? I don't know, one of those guys. Whoever was president during that time, they have advanced knowledge of Pearl Harbor, that it was going to take place. They knew the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor, and they chose to let it happen because they wanted to get into World War II, and they wanted to, you know, just kill some people, right? Just kind of like let loose and just use those weapons and stuff and just get rid of some people. And you know how that goes, right? We all have that feeling. So I'm going to put them up here in the A+ category just because it was, you know, it's a seemingly small event with big repercussions. Winning World War II is what really put the United States in the position to be like the leader of the Illuminati conspiracy group and kind of be the leading dude. Kudos to them for that. Here's a fun one too. We're going to stick with these black and white pictures. Free energy. We got Nikola Tesla here with his Tesla coil shooting out some lightning bolts. It's fun. Respect to that. I don't know. Getting rid of this knowledge and kind of keeping it suppressed was good, right? You have your JP Morgans pulling the plug on Wardenclyffe Tower, which was huge for us because we can't just have free energy out there, right? We can't just have people doing shit for free. That doesn't work. I'm going to put this in the nice try pal category. And this is not just Nikola Tesla, but you had like Stanley Meyer who did the, you know, the water fuel cell. And you had just various people that made huge leaps and bounds in the scientific arena. And you can't have that knowledge getting out there. And I'll put in the nice try category just because, I don't know. Actually, just because I don't know where else to put it. Okay, this next one's school. Now, school has been crucial in just molding minds, getting them ready for the 9 to 5. A lot of good brainwashing taking place in school. It makes kids bored. I feel like it spiritually kind of destroys them a little bit. You have a lot of comparison going on in school, like, oh, like, that girl's prettier than me or something, or he's cooler than me or whatever. So that's good to kind of bring down someone's self-esteem. You introduce kids to like drugs and alcohol. You make it seem cool. That's good. You want to keep that going so maybe one day they can end up like this guy. The thing with school is, you know, sometimes you run into that teacher that's kind of like trying to motivate these kids.
How do I reach these kids?
Once in a while, kids make it out of it, and they develop a good work ethic, and they become successful. And We don't want that. That's a threat. Let's talk about the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve has been incredibly effective because having the ability to print money out of thin air is huge. Back in the day, money used to be based on like metal and shit, like gold or silver or whatever. Well, they went to Jekyll Island one day. I think it was like 1913. They decided to create the Federal Reserve, and this was a pretty elite move. Yeah, and they've just been crushing it ever since. You know, you got a small group of people that actually create money. So it's been a huge tool, very effective. We're going to put this up there just next to the Illuminati because that's a very close branch to them. And that goes for, I don't know, pretty much any institution that creates money. That's a big deal. That's a good move, and it's a good ability to have. Here we go. This is just Baphomet, and this can represent, you know, Satanism, the OTO. You have your Aleister Crowley types, and just that whole movement. That's really kind of the antithesis to God and just materialism and just, you know, kind of like those lower things. I'm going to put them down here just because that's where they want to be, right? Eternal damnation, and I just like putting things where they belong. Everything has its place. Next, we have the Chatham House, the Royal Institute of International Affairs. Kind of got cut off when I got squared when I downloaded this photo. But the Royal Institute for International Affairs, the Council of Foreign Relations, these type of institutes, the Rhodes Scholarship, things like this is kind of a sleeper. And it's been really effective in manufacturing policies, in creating wars, and in just doing some big stuff. And it kind of stays behind the scenes. Now, I like that. I like that with my conspiracies. I kind of like the movers and the shakers to be out of the spotlight and just kind of doing things like... so I'm going to put them in the S tier. Now, it's kind of a lot going on in the S tier, but there's a lot of good conspiracies. So Royal Institute for International Affairs, you know, not quite as popular as the Illuminati, but probably even more effective. You know, he's not on the point of God, but they're doing their job. Next, we have the reptilian conspiracy. Okay, reptilians, it's been good for discrediting actual truth, because when you come out with anything that's somewhat controversial that people have to think about, they immediately lump you into the category of believing in reptilian people. So that's been pretty effective, but I think it's just kind of lame and stupid nowadays. I'm going to put it in the eternal damnation category just because, you know, it's just kind of lame. Next, we have Freemasonry. Now, look at this dweeb. This guy sucks. He's a loser. And I'm going to throw him in the dungeon just because, like, Freemasonry, like, come on, dude. That shit's whack. Like, nobody believes in that. Next, we have the New Age religion movement. New Age religion has done a lot because what's cool about this type of thought process and spirituality is it's all inward. It doesn't really involve, like, doing physical, tangible things. It's more meditative and more working on yourself from the inside, which is helpful to the individual. But what's good about it for the conspiracy is, like, you don't actually change anything in the real world. You know, you're not affecting any of these institutions. You're not overthrowing the Royal Institute of International Affairs. You're not murdering the Illuminati and things like that. And we don't want that. You're just kind of hanging out at home. You light some candles, you light an incense, you look at your Buddha statue, and you just hang out. So that's been good for us. So we're going to give it an early out. We're going to let it get out of school early and like I said, go home, have a snack, play some Xbox, and just hang out. Because as long as you got people not doing real stuff, but thinking that they're evolving and, like, doing shit that matters, it's really effective. And this is kind of one that people sleep on. The New Age movement, they don't see how it could be involved in the conspiracy, but it's so crucial, and there's a reason why it's taken off so hard recently. And then last but not least, we have the device you are probably watching this video on. We have the iPhone. Whether it's Android, iPhone, any of that stuff, just technology, social media, we got to put that in the A+ category just because, well, I don't know, though, because it can kind of go both ways. We might want to put it in the nice try-pal category because now that I think about it, social media has served to, like, wake a lot of people up and made it so they're kind of onto what's going on. And, you know, that could kind of work against the overall goal here. You know, I think in the future we're going to see it kind of combine with your transhumanism, your nanotechnology. But for now, it's like it's a little bit of a threat. It's a little bit of a threat. I think it's great at mind controlling people like television. And it's like a mini TV. Maybe I got to give it an early out for that because it is like TV. It's like a super TV. Okay, well, that's my list, and I hope you learned something. You know, I wasn't able to get to every conspiracy under the sun, but I didn't want this video to take 3 hours. Just wanted to go through and kind of give you a little tier list of some conspiracies. I'm not sure if anyone's ever done this before, but I had fun doing it. Hope you guys had fun. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Just